Hey guys, Bix Weir, roadtour.com. First of all, it was my friend Andy Schectman is here, and I'd like to announce that Miles Franklin has agreed to be the sponsor of the first road show we're doing. We're so excited to have Andy and his team on board. And, Andy, we've been working together to get Road to Ruta members into silver as much as possible for the last couple of years. First of all, thank you for joining me, and thanks for the sponsorship. It's awesome.
Absolutely, Bix. I'd be crazy to not find it an amazing honor, and can't wait to spend some time with you and all the people that I've got the opportunity to talk to, thanks to you over the past 2 years. I look forward to meeting many of them as well, and we'll try to go to at least a couple of the 3, 4, 5 of the shows as you go down the West Coast. So looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it too, and yeah, we're getting all the pieces and parts. We got the cities picked out. We're nailing down the locations. Locations are important because people don't know where to go. They just know the cities right now. But we start March 5th, and we'll go for 3 weeks on the first leg of this tour. Very excited, very excited. And thank you for your sponsorship. Okay,
my pleasure.
Let's talk about, before this started, we were both kind of getting antsy and excited about what's going on with silver.
I dropped a golf ball. I got excited. Sorry.
Oh my God. Well, I've been screaming about silver for the past week, about Ted Butler's technical things. Ted Butler's basic premise is there's commercials and then there's the tech funds. The commercials have always won every single time. The commercials being the handful of bankster criminals that rig the price up and down. The tech funds are required by the way they invest to buy and sell at certain points, technical points, and they get fleeced every time. Not fleeced, they make a little money most of the time, but not the kind of money that people like JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs and Deutsche Bank have made over the years. But what's your take on Ted Butler's overall take on the silver market?
I honestly think that he's one of my go-to. I read him as often as he publishes something. He's been very gracious to me. When I ask him questions, he replies right back. I've used a lot of his material in presentations that I've made, and I think he's dead on. I think really understanding the Commitment to Traders report and what goes on in the COMEX market is very difficult. But what it does for me, it allows me to see the extent to which the biggest banks in the world are holding back the price of silver. It must be really important to them to go to the depths, to the extent of manipulating the market, holding back the price, a global tsunami in a duality of demand, both industrial and monetary, and the lengths and depths that they go to, both in rhetoric and in effort and in action, really. To hold it back, to me, it's very illuminating. He shines a light on that when you realize that there are a handful of banks that hold the largest concentrated position in any commodity ever traded on the COMEX market. It becomes much easier to understand. And although a lot of what he writes is complex, a lot of what he writes makes it very easy to understand that really it is a misdirection. It's a play in misdirection where they are trying really, really hard to delink the rationale people would have to running to silver. They're going to great lengths to keep us all in fiat and not realizing really that silver, by just about every metric when you dissect it, is probably the value proposition of a generation. And I think Ted is at the top of my list, right there with you and David Morgan and several others who have been pioneers screaming this for years when no one was listening. I've always been listening, but there will come a time when I think people will realize that you guys have all really been way ahead of your time, and people will be remiss for not have paid closer attention, him included.
I agree. And Ted's one of my go-to guys, has been for a long time. It always cracks me up when people who are new to silver, say 3 or 4 years, say, "Oh my God, this is lasting so long. When will this ever end?" And I'm like, hey, I've been trying to end this game for 20 years. Ted's been trying to end this game for 40 years. Yep. 40 years. And the beauty of Ted, and here's why I respect his analysis so much. I know not a lot, but there's some hard-nosed gold and silver lovers who don't like Ted because Ted's the first one to call them out when they're talking bullshit. And I get that. It's fine. I can't tell you how many people I've fought with in this space. And people tend to fight when things aren't going well. When the price of silver gets slammed, it's like everybody fights against each other as to why. The beauty of Ted is he doesn't use any conspiracy theory at all. He uses all the published data from the COMEX and the OCC and the governments around the world. That's all he uses. Mm-hmm. And I take that and use them as a tool, but I go down the conspiracy path all the time. Mm-hmm. And I don't have a problem with that. I enjoy that. I think it's a much richer type of analysis than just saying, okay, here's the data. And you have to trust that the data is true from the people who we were trying to bust, including the regulators. But Ted, he literally will not stray from the data that's posted, the official data, and he has been proving silver manipulation for 40 years now. Well, probably started proving it in the late 80s, so at least 30-something years, proving it. If there was a court of law for commodities, he would be hands down win every case because it's their own data that he's using. So yeah, I 2 thumbs up for Ted and everything he's saying. On that note, Ted's been talking about the technical analysis. Right now, the tech funds, this is, you play the commercials off the text. The tech funds are short, and Bank of America is short with them. They have to close out that short. The first 2, there's 3 main moving averages that they look at: 50-day, 100-day, and 200-day. We just yesterday broke past the 50-day and the 100-day. The 200-day is about 50 cents away at $24.60. After that, you got, I think you got the $30 range where, they've been protecting for a while. And then the $50 range, which is the all-time high since 1980. Now, keep in mind, gold is over double its all-time high since 1980. Silver is right now 47% of its all-time high, which is insane. Just the concept of that boggles the mind. Any thoughts on the moving averages and the fact that silver is below its all-time high so far?
Yeah, especially in a world where all asset prices, the real inflation is in asset prices. And if you talk about, a crack up boom in Austrian economics, you talk about misallocation of capital and resources, which creates difficulty in price discovery. That's exactly where we are, where the amount of money creation has been so absurd and stimulus so absurd at the lowest interest rates in history that all asset classes are absurdly high. Real estate, look at all the appreciation in real estate prices over the past 2 years, the equity markets, the bond market. This is why the wealthy don't bitch about inflation. They don't care because, yes, the cost of paying for food and energy and whatnot is going higher, but the assets that they own are exploding in value, where the poor are having a hard time just making ends meet. Well, in that environment where all asset classes are at all-time highs, you take a look at something like silver, which not only is trading under its half of its all-time high, but the demand. First of all, you talk to a guy like Keith Neumeyer, who tells us it's coming out of the ground globally at 7-1. And this is a guy that is the CEO of a very large silver mining company and gold mining company. And he's telling us globally it's coming out of the ground at 7-1, yet it's priced at 80-1. You look at the 150-year average of gold to silver, it's about 42-1. So any way you look at it, we are way, way, way outside of where it should be. And then you look at the duality of the demand, where most commodities have one demand source, and silver has a duality in demand and an expansive green and digital footprint on top of massive monetary demand off the charts. When I look, Bix, at all the business we've done in the last 2 years, record sales for anyone in this space. If you're a large enough company, you've had a record year the last 2. 95% of every order we do is silver or has silver in it, period. We could throw away gold and only sell silver, and it wouldn't be far off from what really transpires every single day. So when you talk about an asset that is massively demanded monetary, not just here in North America. This is globally, in Australia, in Austria, in the UK, and in South Africa. I mean, the silver sales all throughout Europe are off the charts. And at the same time, you look at the expansive drive away from combustion engines into fully battery powered vehicles by 2030. You look at solar and wind. You look at all of the applications that are new that the market really hasn't even grasped yet. The amount of silver that will be needed in this digital world. It's a depleted asset with massive demand, duality in demand, which makes it really unusual. Price half of its 1980 high when all asset classes are blown through their all-time highs and price discovery is next to impossible at the lowest interest rates in human history. And yet the Fed is talking about raising rates. Well, what happens if the Fed raises rates? Two things. Number one, they can't raise rates enough to kill inflation. If they do, they have to raise at minimum of 700 basis points just to get above its bullshit CPI numbers, right? So to really get tough on inflation, they'd have to raise it up to 15%. So that ain't gonna happen. But if they raise it even up 2 or 3%, people say, well, raising rates will hurt metals prices. No, it won't. You're still negative 5% real terms based upon the lying CPI of 7%. But what it will do, it will kneecap the real estate market, where a 1% rise in interest rates often correlates to a 10% decrease in real estate prices. It'll start to put real pressure on an overvalued equity market where people will forego that risk and chase at least a semblance of yield with a little bit more safety. And obviously, if they continue to rise and pair off their balance sheet, you're talking kneecapping the entire economy, where stocks, bonds, and real estate, which used to be inversely correlated stocks and bonds, will now all collapse under the weight of rising interest rates, but never enough to kill the gold and silver bull market. Paul Volcker killed the gold and silver bull market in 1980 by raising rates to 20%. You can't do that anymore. So they'll raise rates token just enough to rattle the hell out of the markets and probably reverse course and destroy the value of the dollar. Ultimately, whatever path they choose, silver and gold are the place to be. And when you look at silver, Bix, it's the buying opportunity of a generation. There is nothing on this planet that has better value proposition right now than silver does.
I agree 100%. Although I would take issue with silver has nothing to do with fundamentals anymore. So the raising of interest rates, the decrease in economic consumption, it doesn't matter. Silver is 100% priced with computers and derivatives on the COMEX. So we could run out of silver tomorrow and the price would stay at $24.03 if the people who run the computers that rig the markets wanted to. And we've seen that all throughout. I can't even tell you how long, at least since 1980, or I would say, when computers really came into the markets was in the early 70s, when Arthur Burns was the head of the Fed and Alan Greenspan was his guy, was his computer guy, and they implemented trading programs. As you can tell, if the fundamentals mattered, the 1980 high in silver would be long in the past. So you touched on it, the amount of money that's been printed since 1980, but I would add, look at the amount of derivatives that have been printed or created since 1980, $2 quadrillion worth of derivatives, because the derivative market was tiny back in 1980. Now it's at $2 quadrillion and rising. All those should act like fiat monetary money being printed, because they really run all markets, especially the oil market, the US dollar market, the bond market, the stock market. Everything in their mother is a derivative now. So I know they like to use fundamentals. Oh, the price of silver was slammed by 20% because the Fed's going to raise rates. It's got nothing to do.
Of course not. Well, and that's what I mean. If it were allowed to reach its fair equilibrium price, you take all of these things into the equation: the massive demand, the massive use in the industry, the halving of its all-time high price when all asset prices are way high. If you were allowed to let it be set free, where would it be? I mean, even if you just took the relationship of 42 to 1, which has been its average forever, and divide that into 18, you're over $200 an ounce right now.
But that average is from like 1970 when we went off, or 60, 65 when we went off the silver standard. I mean, that's a rigged average. I would say, yeah. I mean, even the original was it 15 to 1 constitutionally around there, 15, and then they changed it to 16 to 1. That was based off the amount of silver and gold available in the world. That amount has actually gone down from that.
Halved.
And it's cut in half. And, you know, and we don't even know, truthfully, from the conspiracy world, we don't know how much gold there is in the ground, above ground. That's a huge, huge, it's a secret. It's a military secret. I mean, you look at most of the military bases, like Chocolate Mountain, the gunnery range at Chocolate Mountain in California, back in the 1980s, they did some drilling, cross drilling into the gunnery range because there was a gold mine right next to it. They found this massive amounts of gold. It went all through Congress. This is documented. It's at Chocolate Mountain, and it was literally shut up by Dianne Feinstein. 41% of California is now federal lands. So when California says, oh, we're going to secede from the union because of Trump, they ain't going anywhere because 41% of the land is owned by the federal government now. So that, I mean, since 1913, I really think the creation of the Fed was more to hide the natural resources of the United States. We have not been able to mine pretty much anything of value in the United States. The idea was use everybody else's first, get this fiat paper all over, you know, wallpaper the world with it. And then when computers came, you don't even need paper. That's the amazing thing. So yes, we're in agreement. I just like to go down the conspiracy path. And when you do that, you find all kinds of things like the Y-12 facility. When they were building the first atomic bomb, they borrowed 3 billion ounces of physical silver out of the US Treasury. And the guy in charge of it, General Grove, said, we didn't tell the world that all the silver backed dollars didn't have any silver backing. It was all at the Y-12 facilities making these magnets to make enriched uranium because it was a national security issue. Well, all that came out in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And then in the 90s, they broke down that facility. And if you look at the export data of the US, it quadrupled for silver between 95, 96, 97, or 4, 5, 6. And all of that silver was, not all of it, but a big chunk of it was shipped out of the United States. But they don't tell us about that stuff. And to just blow that off and say, oh, no, it's not important. Of course it's important, because the supply demand, the big thing that got me about that story, and this was the Manhattan Project, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. The big thing that got me is there was so little silver in the 90s that they had to tear down one of the most strategic military establishments and facilities they had just to get the silver out. You don't see that with gold. I think there's gold all over the place. And I'm not saying
now they have
gold,
none. Now they have no silver.
Now they have no, yeah. I mean, even the governments around the world say, none of them say, hey, we're holding silver as a strategic asset, other than the military says, yeah, we have to have some silver. But then again, the United States is so exposed because we've been lying, rigging, and cheating the markets. All our enemies know it now. I mean, they watch this stuff. I remember Putin sent his #1 economic guy to the Klondike Gold conference with GATA back in the day. You think they don't know how fragile this system is, and that they can go in and buy up a couple $1 billion of silver and end the game at any point? Of course they know that.
No, I couldn't agree more. Look, there's a fine line between reality and conspiracy. I've learned that myself. I was speaking at a conference espousing the virtues of you and GATA years ago, when Doug Casey got up and said, you know, there's no way after I spoke, that there's no way JP Morgan would ever manipulate the market. The brokers couldn't keep their mouth shut long enough. And what's his name from Sprott? Not Eric. Who was the guy that ran? He was their mouthpiece for Sprott. Look, the Marlboro man. What was his name?
I know. He's awesome.
John Embry, right?
Yeah, John Embry.
He came up to me and said, thank you for saying those things. I wish I could say it, but I'm not able to say it. More or less is what he said. There's a fine line between conspiracy and reality. And when some of the most respected names in this industry disagreed, made me even question my own beliefs. only to find out JP Morgan pays a $920 million fine last year for manipulating the market. Villa, it was validation that everything that made so much sense to me about why the price was behaving the way it was, so counterintuitive to everything else out there, why guys like Ted Butler were screaming about this, made so much sense to me. Most of what I spoke of in that speech was Ted Butler's data. And so look, the bottom line is simply this, that if the market were allowed to trade freely, gold and silver would be massively higher. And there isn't anything on the planet like silver right now. There is no question. And I try to say that to people, removing the fact that I own a precious metals company, trying to be completely objective. And yet when you speak the logic of the fundamentals behind it, it still doesn't resonate with a lot of people. Unfortunately, most people have to see it to believe it. And that's not a recipe for winning and investing. You know that, buying theta at 5 cents. You need to be early in whatever it is that you believe has the proper utility. Look at the utility that silver offers and look at its price in relation to everything else out there. So, there's no question that the what you consider to be, or others consider to be, conspiracy, I don't think you do, and nor do I. I think it's a lot closer to reality, and we're just all led to believe that it's something called conspiracy. I don't believe it.
Well, I mean, we can go down the conspiracy. A conspiracy is two people acting illegally to do something. People just use that term to take it out of the everyday belief, which is ridiculous. But what I do want to talk about is the crypto space. And I have been screaming at people to balance their portfolio with crypto and silver. Right now, I know many crypto millionaires who don't own any silver. And it shocks me to the core that they don't, mainly because they're smart people. They understand crypto. You got to be smart to understand the cryptos. The silver story, the reason they don't invest in silver is it hasn't been allowed to go up. And I tell them, I'm like, hey, yes, there's been some great crypto returns, and I have benefited from that. But at the same time, I know that 170 years of price suppression in the price of silver will blow away any crypto return that you ever got. Cryptos have blown up. You've done well. I can give you reasons why some of them probably might not work out. Why not? Why not invest in something when it's low? I mean, just in relation to, and I say this to the gold investors too, just in relation to the end of a literally decades long, if not over a century long, price suppression scheme by these bankers that everybody knows and hates the bankers. But they don't connect silver and the banking cabal. That silver and the banking cabal and the corporations love cheap silver. I love cheap silver. I mean, had silver not been suppressed, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. And I love what I'm doing. But at the same time, I scream at everybody, now's your opportunity. At some point in time, very soon, I believe, you won't be able to call Andy up and get any silver at all. And that's the scary time, until the price readjusts and we get a different kind of price discovery mechanism other than the COMEX. Right now on planet Earth, there's no other exchange where the price is determined other than the COMEX, which is futures and options with a delivery component. The LBMA is ridiculous. The LBMA is an association. It's a bunch of bankers trading back and forth and they tell the world what the price is, if you ask me. So we need a free market traded where you go in with cash and you get silver and then you walk out and that's all they do. They say whatever that cash is. I think the dollar will change too, but that's the kind of
what the Shanghai Gold Exchange is right now, sorta.
But I don't think they have a silver exchange. They have a gold exchange, yes. But last I heard, I haven't checked into it for a while.
I'm pretty sure they do have a small silver component. I'm not.
I think it was just derivatives, the futures and options in silver.
Because I read something. Here's a quote I read the other day. They show that gold and silver withdrawals from the Shanghai Gold Exchange updated with December numbers. During the month, there were 6.22 million ounces, troy ounces of gold taken off the Shanghai exchange. And despite slightly firmer silver prices, in silver, 5.4 million troy ounces. So they do have,
They got a delivery
they
component.
are now having silver on there. I think you're right. I think it's more of a new phenomenon with the Shanghai Gold Exchange.
Hey, more power to them.
I think that's ultimately where it will lead when the COMEX blows apart, to a part of the world where it's cash and carry.
China is like a silver importer now. They
Right.
used to be an exporter. You never know with China because they do a lot of refining in China. So like Doré will go in there, and China knows. Didn't I think David Morgan went, who I love, by the way. David Morgan went out there to China for a consulting job for the Bank of China, I think. At some, I've been in this game so long, I forget more than I remember. But yeah, they know exactly what's going on in the gold and silver markets. They know that silver is absolutely necessary. They got what, 1.3, 1.4 billion people they need to take care of. They have the manufacturing capacity. They pretty much shut their doors to the United States. The whole world will be trying to get their hands on silver. So I'm screaming to everybody right now at the other end of this video, why aren't you loading up? Most of you are, but why aren't you loading up on physical silver while you can get it? I don't care about the price. All you should care about is getting it in your possession right now.
Well, first of all, I agree. I think you look at a casino, you ask anyone who's ever played enough blackjack in a casino or any game in a casino, how do you win? Well, you leave when you have money in your pocket. You can't stay there. If you stay there long enough, you're not guaranteed a win. Now, you may be on a run of a lifetime, and yeah, maybe you'll make the money, but taking some chips off the table, going to the cashier and putting it into something like silver, which is massively undervalued. I'm using this analogy with crypto. If you've done exceedingly well, don't take it all off the table, but take enough off the table and transition from an asset that is, I don't even know how we determine what fair value is in crypto, but let's just say we go from an asset that's had a great run into an asset that is, as we've just, I think, fairly well documented, amazingly undervalued. Now, we take crypto through a place called BitPay. We don't actually take the crypto. People say, well, if you believe so much in silver and don't like crypto the way that you do silver, why would you take it? We're not taking it. And I do own some crypto. But the reason that we do it through BitPay is that BitPay is able to accept various forms of cryptocurrency and transition it into US dollars for us so that we can settle the trade. Unfortunately, that's the only way that we are able to pay for precious metals and to unwind our hedges, and all the things that we need to do have to be in dollars. So people call us with Ethereum or Bitcoin or Litecoin or a myriad of other cryptocurrencies that BitPay accepts, and I believe including stable coins and whatnot. We issue a link directly from them. They click on the link. You've done this, Bix. You know how it works, and bang, we get paid. It's an amazing thing. I mean, I did $1 million Ethereum order. Blew me away how fast the funds were transferred to us. I'd never experienced anything like it. A bank wire can take hours. You really,
or days. I just want to say this.
Yes, it's
that
true.
has been the easiest way to buy metals through BitPay from Miles Franklin. I just bought some silver to make some more Road to Ruta coins.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to be announcing this, but we might have a new Road to Ruta coin coming out. But the bank wire, I went in there Thursday at about 1 o'clock. They said, oh, the cutoff is gone. So I'm like, shit, there goes a day. The next day, they call me at 1 in the afternoon, leave a message. Oh, we have to get this approved by you. You got to call back. I call back, it goes to voicemail. They didn't send it out. There was a bank holiday on Monday. That wire I went in to change on Thursday didn't get to where it needed to go until Tuesday. That's your banking system at work. Whereas with Bitcoin, you and I have done several Bitcoin transactions or Litecoin, and through BitPay, it's snap easy.
It's shocking, actually. And from a cryptocurrency neophyte like I am, I was amazed by the speed and efficiency I mean, it was startling, and that's something that I will certainly stand behind. There are utilities, no question about it, for that being one of them. Anyways, that's the way that it works. The order is placed, we issue a bid pay link, the funds are transferred immediately, and we ship. Look, I think that you can make an argument that what did we all learn when we were little? Buy low, sell high. I'm not telling people to sell all their cryptocurrency, but what I am saying is that you're certainly buying low in precious metals. And if you want to leave the casino with a pocket full of cash so you can go out to steak dinner and treat your friends,
which is why you invest.
Right, Vegas parlance, then take some of those chips off the table and put it into something that is undervalued, that you can witness the same type of appreciation, and have it in your possession at all times, similar to the way cryptocurrencies work, except you have a physical piece that no one in the world knows about, similar to the way that crypto works. I mean, they're cut from the same cloth. They really are. And there's room in everyone's portfolio if you understand the dynamics between buying cryptocurrencies. Why are you doing it? Because you believe you want to make profit, but ultimately you understand the dollar's in trouble. Well, that's the exact same thing that people in silver are thinking. So it's very symbiotic, and certainly it's very easy process for us to do with people. It's the same thing as placing an order and sending a wire. Instead, we send you a bit pay link.
Hey, a lot of Road to Ruta members are very heavy in Theta and Theta Fuel. If you go to simpleswap.io, you can do a swap of Theta for, say, Litecoin, and then use Litecoin in BitPay. If you're looking, for example, if you're staking Theta and you're getting a bunch of Theta Fuel, staking Theta or Theta Fuel, and getting a bunch of Theta Fuel, you can swap that into Litecoin, then go buy precious metals. My take is you need a balance. You need a balance in your portfolio of both. I understand both of them. I understand the pros and cons of both of them. I think silver right now is the most undervalued because of the 170 years of price suppression. Cryptos are going to be extremely more valuable than they are today in the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 100 years. I get that. But right now, what we're looking at is 107 years of silver price suppression that I believe in this year is going to end. And to be a minute too late is, you missed it, missed by an inch, missed by a mile. And that's exactly what you're going to do if you don't have physical silver in your possession. Okay, we've gone on long enough. Andy, tell people how to get in touch with you to get their silver shipped to their front door.
Send us an email at info@milesfranklin. Put Bix Weir or Road to Ruta or Bix sent me, anything like that in the subject line. You will receive personal attention, the best price in the industry, white glove service. We take the relationship from you, Bix, as serious as a heart attack. And I love you for it. And it means the world to me. And I've made it very clear to everyone in my company just how important it is. And so we strive for excellence with your listeners, best price, great service, and just send us an email. So, we're building a new website that will allow, and we've got the back end done. The front end is now underway. It's really been a pain in the butt. Took a lot longer than I ever thought it would. But needless to say, we're still old school in the meantime. So send us an email. We will send you an updated price list. If you find a major retailer that's offering silver that we're offering your listeners for less, let us know. We'll match it or beat it to the best of our ability. And usually it's not a problem, but that's how you do it. Info@milesfranklin. Bix or Road to Ruta sent me. You'll get contacted by one of our brokers with a price list with some information about our company, and we promise it'll be a good experience. You have my word on that.
I would like to first of all say thank you from the Road to Ruta members. I get so many people saying so much better than buying online. I actually get to talk to someone and even chat a little about silver, stuff like that. But they really, the service is unbelievable, wonderful. I had a box that got lost by UPS, and you guys like, don't worry about it. We'll get it there. Don't worry. And then it showed up a week later. And I didn't sweat it at all. And that's the beauty.
You didn't appear as though you sweated. I sweated it much more than you did. I'll put it to you that way. And that's those things happen, and that's what insurance is for.
But that's what a good relationship is for as well. Yeah. And I think that's what the key to using you guys. Anyway,
Well, it's funny that you were going to say that, because the last thing, and I'll stop I'll let you run, was I tell everyone in my company, a problem is nothing but an opportunity to strengthen a relationship. And that's what relationships are for. And we're good at that. I promise you, that's something we excel at. And we just appreciate the opportunity to have those relationships with you. We're looking so forward to sponsoring your roadshow and being there and meeting everyone this time. Unfortunately, we had just moved into our new house when you were in Arizona, didn't get to see the last one, but I'm going to go to a bunch of them this time. And I look forward to it. I look forward to being here from time to time, and just appreciate the friendship, Bix. You're a hell of a guy, and we all owe you a debt of gratitude for shining a light on what is, I believe, the value proposition of a generation. And I mean that to my soul.
me too. Agreed. Hey, Andy, thank you so much. We will hopefully talk to you very soon. And again, thank you for the sponsorship.
Yes.
And you take care.
You too, buddy. Stay well.
Bye-bye.